A great big hey howdy hey to all my goofy goobers out there. Welcome back to Animanic Commentaries with Comic Auzi.
Yeah, rawr.
And
So
tonight,
I don't know any Swahili to put into here.
you could just say Nansangonyan, maybe I fucked it up.
Nasagonya mabakithi baba.
Something like
Which
that.
I only know because we sang it.
Okay, and tonight we will be watching the Disney classic, The Lion King. Now, me personally, this is definitely one of my favorites growing up. Like, I definitely got a kick out of it. I got a kick out of this and all the... definitely got a kick out of all of the like, the DVD extras. We had, the 2-disc DVD, and on the second disc, they would have the Timon and Pumbaa's virtual safaris. Anybody out here remember the virtual safaris?
Yes.
And then they continued the tradition on both Lion King 2, which I never had growing up, but also Lion King 1.5, which I did have growing up. And it's like, so I always got a kick out of the virtual safaris and the movies in their own respect. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that will pretty much put their own Disneyland rides.
They were kind of the, yeah, it's like the first...
Hey, goodbye to your folks, you may never see them again.
Yeah, the first two were like Indiana Jones and the Jungle Cruise, and then the one for Lion King 1.5 at least was like every Disney dark ride rolled into one. They had references to Pirates of the Caribbean, the Haunted Mansion, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and just in general had the vibe of one of those pretzel dark rides like Snow White and Mr. Toad anyway.
And also the Matterhorn. It's like, how did he get on the ride?
The Matterhorn, oh my god, I forgot. And of course they have that Small World joke in there.
Yeah, but meanwhile, on my end, I have the unpopular opinion here. This is not one of my favorites.
I mean, I wouldn't say
surprising, I know.
I mean,
everyone says that this is the best, and I'm the one who's like, there are lots of others I like better.
The thing is that
I was one of those kids who like the sequels better than the first one.
I can definitely say Lion King 1.5 was one I watched more often just because of how blatantly funny it was. Even funnier as an adult now, knowing like Mystery Science Theater and what the whole movie was basically riffing on. It's like, it's just so much fun, you know?
And I think the reason is because I'm a girl. I paid attention a lot more when the girls were in the spotlight, you know? It's probably why I like Lion King 2 better, because Kiara was a star.
Yeah, too true.
And also why I liked, for example, why I watched Bug's Life a lot more than I watched Toy Story, because we had, well, while they weren't the main characters, we had a lot more female characters for me to pay attention to. Because that's what little me wanted. I wanted those female role models.
Yeah. And honestly, that was really, like, the appeal for me in this movie growing up was always the funny side characters. Like, I really did get a lot more of a kick out of whenever Timon and Pumbaa were on screen, which is why Lion King 1.5 was just so much fun for me. But yeah, in regards to this movie, we'll go over it as we go into it. But, like, I would definitely say that as far as, like, my personal favorites, yeah, I don't know if this breaks the top 5 or nothing, but, like, as far as Disney's best, in terms of, like, general quality, yeah, this definitely breaks the top 5 of Disney films overall that could be considered in the upper echelon. But like I said, top 5. There are probably, like, 4 other films I can name that are grander, like Cinderella or Tangled or fucking Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
There are grander movies than even The Lion King. Hunchback, which we'll be getting to in a few weeks from now. So that's also pretty grand in comparison.
I enjoy a lot more than this, but we're not going to talk about that today.
No, we'll get there when we get there. So for now, I think we're going to go ahead. So
there shouldn't be a warning on this, right?
No, there is not a warning on this. So I'm gonna get the.
Nope, we're all with animals.
And here's the dealio.
And
everyone
jokes. And it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
cultural jokes are from the people who are actually from that culture.
Yeah. So anyway,
You know what I mean by that.
Yeah. So everyone get your copy ready on Disney Plus. That's what I'll also be watching through. But if you have a different copy, keep in mind the opening logos may not be the same. So everyone get your copies ready to sync up in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. Yeah, my feelings of this movie have always been mixed. Like, put it this way: when everyone says that like Frozen is overrated, why can't they just let it go? I'm like, well, what about The Lion King? That's been around longer, and people can't let that go.
It's so funny.
That's pretty much my feelings on this.
It's not entirely unfair. Good night, Jess. Good night, Alma. Good night, Alma.
Yes.
Have a good evening.
It doesn't matter how old a movie is. If people love it, they're gonna love it, and they're gonna go crazy over it.
Weird Wolf, you need to have a copy of The Lion King. You could have it on DVD or Disney Plus, but you gotta sync it with the image on screen.
You didn't say what version we're watching.
Oh, that's right. I suppose it should be worth mentioning that if you are watching on Disney Plus, you will be perfectly well off because we are not watching the one with the Morning Report song, and I'll get to that when we get to that scene.
Sorry, I can never watch this anymore without hearing Timon and Pumbaa's commentary.
Yeah. Well, enough of that.
Okay. Yeah, I will say this is probably one of the most cinematic openings that Disney has ever done. It's so iconic. Everyone knows of it, even if they've never seen this movie.
Yeah.
Like that's a good.
I mean,
there's
even
a reason it was parodied even later in Disney.
Like Disney parodied itself. Animaniacs back in the day did a version of it called "The Surprises of Life," and the lyrics, the visuals are pretty good match. Like up to the end with a big punchline, and then the lyrics are really funny as well, which really just hits it. Like there's a lyric like where you might squeeze your, like, where you might smash your thumb on a door or get hit by a bus or something like that. It's like...
Okay. And of course the songs, there's no doubt that the songs are great. And that's because we got Elton John and Tim Rice, who was behind the Aladdin lyrics when Howard Ashman died.
Basically, Tim Rice was responsible for every lyric that Howard Ashman was not. So basically, One Jump and Circle of Life and all that.
I had the whole Elton John, like, Diamond Edition CDs, and that includes, Elton John's versions of Circle of Life and Can You Feel Love Tonight.
Yeah. Where he's singing them.
Different lyrics going on.
Yeah. And also the lighting.
We have Robert Guillaume here. Rest in peace, buddy.
Yeah. He was also one of those actors who always stuck with a character. Like, every time Rafiki appeared, he would always play Rafiki, and it was just, God. What a guy.
This whole opening is...
And the lighting as well. Like, I think, like, even beyond, like, Beauty and the Beast, where I said, oh, they could have done the shading better on the Beast in some areas. It's like, I think they've really nailed it by this movie. Like, I think they really nailed, like, oh, let's just do some flat shadows on this. Let's do some soft shadows on this because he's being lit from behind. It's like, I think they really nailed what they were using the caps for, in order for, like, their lighting and color. And, God, it makes his hand grabbing the sand feel that much more real just to have it lit that way, It's just, God, it's the little things. It's the little things. Now, I think very few of us are actually going to have the original version of this movie at all, and I'm going to point out why when we get to the end of the song.
Okay.
Right.
So Disney itself nicknamed this movie Hamlet meets Bambi in Africa.
Yeah.
And you can really tell with the way this movie is structured, because that's the way Bambi opened up too. We have all these animals gathering to see
the new prince. Yeah.
Prince that is born. Except instead of a deer, we got a lion.
Yeah.
And also, fun fact, this was originally King of the Jungle until Disney realized, wait a minute, lions don't live in the jungle.
And right there, so you can see that, yeah. Oh, wait, no. Oh. Okay, maybe that is. Because, like, I think there was a bit, like, where, like, they puppeted some of the animation on that. Okay, so I want you guys to imagine that you're in a movie theater, which you kind of are, but in the YouTube space. But then like you're in a movie theater, it's all dark, and boom, this giant paw comes down. I really want to see Lion King in theaters because that's just such a cool shot.
Yeah, Scar is a pretty formidable villain.
Very much.
Oh, and actually, Jeremy Irons is coming back as Scar in the new Once Upon a Studio.
Yes.
The first time since this movie.
I don't know where it must have been some misconception, but I always thought like he was one of those actors who was no longer around. It was like, wait, he's still around? Wait, what? Oh my god.
No, he's still around. He was like,
oh yes,
what was that show? Borgia.
And of course, yes, as
Borgia
Bella just mentioned, Rowan Atkinson as Zazu is just really great.
Yeah, the voice acting is really on point. Something we kind of missed in the live action thing. Live action, I put in quotes.
It's not in live action. Not even the backgrounds are live action. At least Dinosaur could claim that.
Of course, Mufasa.
Also, I love the face Zazu was drawn with there. I see boiling lines on his mane a lot here, despite standing still.
Yeah. So yeah, Scar is pretty much our Claudius in here.
Yeah. I want to point out, like, your movie sucks.
Except much eviler than the Claudius in Hamlet.
Your movie sucks did a whole, like, part 1 dissertation on the new Lion King. And, like, going over this scene in detail of, like, how... This is a short version of this scene, right? Like, this is very quick. It goes by very quickly, but all the details there are important, right? It's not like in the 2019 version, they're like, it's like, well, you must learn respect because, as you know, my son is going to be your king. But it's like, the reason that he mentions that is not just exposition for the audience. It's because he's like, well, I was first in line until the little hairball was born. That hairball is my son. And it's like, that's the thing. It's like, the dialogue flows, but they cut it up and replaced it and extended it in ways that didn't make sense in the update. It's like, it's not even an update. It's like you're just butchering it. You're putting the script is grandma and you're putting it in the wood chipper. This is the Fargo of live action Disney remakes.
Okay. So I did see the stage version, not on Broadway. I saw it at the West End, so everybody had British accents, not just Scar. That was interesting. Yeah.
Actually,
they pretty much keep most of the dialogue.
In regards to British accents, that's just something that Your Movie Sucks brought to my attention that also I really love. Jeremy Irons and James Earl Jones both have voices, especially at this time when they're much younger, that have that they can make growl like a lion, you know? And it's like, that's smart. Casting actors who can, you know, growl because they're playing an animal that roars, you know? It's like...
Fun fact, Rafiki is played by a woman in the stage version.
No, that makes sense. I feel like that makes sense, especially if, like, in the Hamlet meets Bambi, he would be Ophelia, I think.
Do you know who Ophelia is in Hamlet? Ophelia would be Nala.
Oh. I don't know what
Ophelia
she did.
is the love interest, well, who in the play dies. Spoiler alert.
Ouch.
But, you know, it's a Shakespearean tragedy. Almost everybody dies.
Yep. God, ain't that just beautiful right there? Oh, and everyone look at the ground
Rafiki would be more like Friend Owl, you know what I mean?
And look at the ground. Look at the ground here. That's not CGI. That's one of those things where the animator's like, you know, it's gonna be less time to just draw it rotating in space as opposed to modeling it and shit. You know what I mean? In fact, I think there are no CGI backgrounds in this movie. Like, I don't think there's a single CGI background art in this movie. Like, as far as computer generated like animation elements, none
There's
of the
more.
yeah, there's more. God.
Yeah, which probably explains how all those animals were worshiping the Lion King when they could all be eaten.
Yeah. But here's the fun bit, right? Like, so as I was growing up, I watched the special edition version, so I always watched the Morning Report song. But after having
Yeah.
watched the original version, this version of the scene is so much better because there's an emotional connection that you miss when you just have Zazu
but
singing away.
But you know, it still sounds like James Earl Jones's voice changes for a second. You know what I mean?
Yeah? And then, so it's like, so he gives him a moment
You
to
know,
just,
actually,
yeah,
the stage
right there.
the stage version I saw in West End, they cut out the Morning Report entirely.
Huh. See, I love this because, and then turn around. See, I love this
Okay,
because
but,
it's
it
like,
still seems like there's some shift in animation there. You know what I mean?
like right here.
I don't know.
I mean, it could just be because
Maybe
it was
it's
sent
I'm
to a
just so
different.
off-put up by it.
Yeah, it could be. Now, see, like that whole moment there, like in the song version that they based off of the Broadway song, like Zazu's just singing away, and like Mufasa is just like teaching Simba how to pounce, and he just pounces him, and then Simba also sings "Morning Report" in a voice that sounds like neither Jonathan Taylor Thomas nor the original singer, like at all. Just completely different voice. But then it's like, in this version, like they have this emotional connection, and then Zazu's like, "Oh, what are you doing, sir?" So it's like it's not like he's been completely ignored, and I kind of like that. It makes it funnier. Also, absolutely beautiful how animation can perfectly frame your shots so that you can be brought in to. You can just have Simba in his bright golden yellow sun furs out in the sunlight, and Scar's.
You know, he's still in shadow. Have you noticed that?
Yes, the thing is,
He was in shadow that whole time.
that's the framing of this whole scene. Simba, and now Simba's finally crossed over to Scar's side so Scar can manipulate him. That's the framing that they're getting across here. It's like Simba's been in sunlight most of this shot, but now he's in shadow while he's giving Scar, like, Scar's got him hooked on this idea. It's like he doesn't know he's being manipulated, but he is. And you can see it on Scar's face. He's just
God, he's so evil that he's pretending to be a loving uncle here.
He's not even playing Simba. He's not even playing Simba like a fiddle. He's playing Simba like a kazoo because Simba doesn't know better at all. He played you like the kazoo you are.
I'll have to remember that idiom.
And now he's finally in the sunlight. But he turns back. But look at that framing. Look at that framing. Look, it's cut in half, but it's not perfectly in half. Most of this frame is still in shadow, so Scar has control. I love this kind of shit. Okay,
so something people have pointed out to me, and so who the hell is Nala's dad? It's obviously Mufasa.
I mean, yeah, when you don't really think about it too hard, it's like, oh, look at this young childhood romance, but then you realize kissing cousins. Because...
God,
I
always thought that shot was so weird.
That shot is weird, because it's an animal cleaning... It's a mother cleaning her daughter, and they're both cats. Okay, so if I haven't told you already, go watch Tony Goldmark, aka Some Jerk with a Camera, with his series, like, Some Jerk with a Camera on his YouTube channel, and, like, his podcast, EFVD podcast, Escape from Walt Disney, and, like, one of his friends of the show, was actually knew the voice actress, who played Nala, black, by the way, and, Just throwing that one out there, but also mentioning how you could, because they were talking about the 2019 version in their like one movie later videos, and the friend was mentioning how she saw Nala in her actor friend because they animated her big eyes on her big expressive eyes. So in the same way that you can like look at Edwin, or no, not Edwin, you can look at the March Hare and see fuck, I forgot his name.
Me too.
But you know, the guy. And you can see the voice actor, the March Hare, in the March Hare's face. You can see her eyes in young Nala, and it's like, that's really cool.
Okay.
That's just really cool.
Anyway,
Bam.
So, I mean, we're a bit past the point where we saw her, but one thing that always bothered me about this movie is how little we see of Simba's mom, to a point where people even forget he has a mom. Like,
you know, that's fair.
Yes. Like, I saw it in a list of Disney characters who lost their parents. I mean, spoiler alert, but I think we all know what happens.
Yeah, I think we've been here before.
Simba only has a dad, but they don't mention, and he loses his dad, but like, what? But you don't mention that he has a mom in there. And that's kind of only one of the few good points I thought of the 2019 version, is that they did more with Sarabi, because she's the freaking queen!
You definitely expect it to happen. I mean, that's the thing. We'll get there when we get there. I'll touch on that.
Unless they were trying to make her like Gertrude, and we don't really see her perspective on the whole thing in Hamlet.
You know, I gotta give some credit to Rowan Atkinson. I'm not sure how much of a singer he is, if he's more or less of a singer than Robin Williams, but
I don't think he is.
He
like
holds those notes. He holds those notes really well. And let's be fair, he did the Morning Report song for the special edition version of this movie, and he wasn't too bad there either. So, you know, as much as I don't like the scene now.
They went a lot on the animation for this number.
Yeah, I mean, we've escaped into that musical theater sense of things. Simba just can't wait to be king, and now everyone...
No wonder they went to Broadway for this.
And so, like, Simba just can't wait to be king. He has to sing that.
Oh, they're
and
the
now
new gators.
Yep. I don't think anyone...
No, crocodiles. Sorry, gators are the human murky swamps of North America.
I had a feeling you'd say that. And now we've got just a big old choreographed, essentially a dance sequence in, like, fantastical animated form.
Now we know why they really fell. Sorry, I really consider 1.5 to be canon, because they just...
Well, the thing is,
so
yeah, because we see Zazu being crushed under this rhino, but we don't see the rest of the pile of animals, so we don't actually know if that did or didn't happen. So it is actually continuity, like, congruent. Also worth mentioning that...
Yeah, you know, I don't care if they're half siblings. I mean, they're lions, so whatever.
Besides, I think most people kind of ignore that.
Laws of nature are different.
You know, and another mentioning of...
Lion rules are different than human rules, I don't care.
You know, in other to mentioning, like, singing roles different than acting roles between the Disney movies, they actually, like young Nala, they got a young black boy to do the voice of singing for Simba. I think the name was mentioned earlier in the chat. If I could just scroll that up. Jeff Bennett did Zazu in the Morning Report. Oh. Well, good voice match.
Yeah.
Good voice match.
Okay, so I'm right that Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella, is that
Ernie
his
Sabella,
name,
yeah.
were originally auditioned for the Hyenas.
Huh.
But they loved how they played off each other so well that they created Timon and Pumbaa.
Yeah. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
And then we got This lovely trio were probably among the best villainous sidekicks we got.
And
Yeah, Jason Merriman again, and then we got Whoopi Goldberg and Jim Cummings.
yeah.
Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg loves this role.
You can hear her just chewing up the microphone, chewing up the script. The entire recording booth she's in is all chewed up. She's just eating up the scenery.
Yeah, when she was at the premiere with, I don't remember whether this was her daughter or granddaughter, but she was like you're really mean. Oh, wait till the end, sweetie. They understand big Latin.
You know, in terms of like the hyenas, they're being portrayed as the villains, but it's like they're not dumb. Even Ed, the one who, well, looks like he's not all there.
Look.
He's not dumb. Well, I mean, he is dumb in that he is dumb in that he can't speak, but he's not stupid.
Yeah. I was about to say.
Yeah.
Just a little eccentric. You know, I think Mufasa really did kind of make a mistake in just cutting him off from everybody. Because
Cutting the hyenas off, or
yes, because Scar took advantage of that.
that is true. Probably wouldn't have happened if they didn't segregate themselves so hard.
I heard that there was critique over this from like what was it, like the National Wildlife Foundation, that hyenas are scavengers and not hunters. Like they will eat off of already dead carcasses. They won't be hunting.
Yeah.
As you can say, maybe because there are not enough carcasses around here, that they are resorting to this character-wise, I guess.
I have to wonder if they would do that in the wild too, or if there are just too many animals around for it to ever happen. Okay, there you notice that they're using some legit roars of a tiger because lions don't roar like that.
Yeah, but that's cooler.
It is cooler.
We needed to scare
Also, I
us.
love the
It's
layover.
a cinematic choice.
I love them laying a roar on top of when he says silence. That's just amazing.
Okay, that part.
Okay,
was
he's
dumb.
a little. Okay, little bit. He wasn't in on the joke there. I love the way that Zazu's body language is so consistent. He always puffs up his chest with pride and smiles wide. And then whenever he cowers, he always uses his like wings as like a little like shroud, like a coat, like a shield to hide behind.
Why does Disney seem to like the phrase "you deliberately disobeyed me"? Because they use it twice in this movie, then they use it in the Little Mermaid sequel. It's like, you keep using that phrase, Disney. What's going on?
Maybe they're moralizing how children should listen to their parents, especially when, you know, they know what they're talking about. Especially in these instances. Like, dude, you could have...
The little kitty crouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a legit parent reaction.
Yeah. Oh, God. You could just feel that. This is a great moment,
It's one
right
of the cases
there.
where your dad is angry, but, you know, not like...
It's just...
Oh, and when he sees the paw, and very big footprints to fill.
Yeah. And I may have just let him down. It's like, God.
Because he really respects his father.
You can see the sadness in his eyes as well.
See? See what I mean?
I think they probably started doing it after this movie because they really loved that line read in particular. Because that is a really...
Yeah, this line.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And this is great.
It's be brave in the face of your own fears. Ugh.
Hmm.
It's like I always tell the kids who are scared in my swim class that like you can't be brave without being scared. But then there's also stupidity and just jumping in and not knowing what to do. Okay, so in the stage production I saw, I think Mufasa messed up the line because at that point he says, "Cause those hyenas were even scared." It's like, I think he said the line wrong, but okay.
Hmm. Man, they're having a very real moment here.
Yeah, there were definitely moments of this I could appreciate more as an adult than I did as a kid.
Yeah.
This made me wonder if like that beam of sunlight in the beginning might have been the previous kings.
I mean, when we're contextualizing it like this,
Just like in
I'm
the
I'm
yeah.
thinking, yeah.
Just like in the sequel when just like in the sequel when the light is on Kiara and you hear Mufasa's voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here comes some of my favorite lines.
Yep.
Yeah, some of my favorite lines come from these guys.
Hey, villains get some of the best, you know? Mhm. They record the lines before they animate, so the animator probably just heard the line "I hate dangling" and was like,
Listen.
"Okay, I gotta draw some." Ugly.
Ugly. I love the.
But honestly, I
love
gotta
that.
imagine the animator having to listen to that line of dialogue over and over again. It's like, man, I hate dangling. It's like, okay, I'm getting sick of this. I'm gonna draw some drool dangling from his lip.
Yeah, I'm so glad they put Whoopi Goldberg in here. Like, yes, let's have some villainous sidekicks who are female.
Also,
Oh,
even
I love this part.
yeah.
Part's like Mufasa. Ooh, do it again. That was one of my favorite parts as a kid. Mufasa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Scar had the right idea. Like appealing to these guys.
Mhm. Honestly.
Oh, here we go. This lead in.
And
Okay, so do you think it was the right call to take away in the soundtrack version we still have like that opening dialogue. Like I never thought hyenas were essential, but they don't put it in the movie.
personally, it's one of those things where it's like why Sarabi doesn't show up more in the movie. It's about flow. It's about keeping the runtime within a reasonable amount of time, and for
They
budget
definitely
reasons.
keep it for the Broadway version.
Well, yes, because the Broadway show can go on for up to 3 hours or so. It's like, so it's like you can spend your.
Too. They actually didn't add a lot of songs into the Broadway version. Not like what they did in Beauty and the Beast.
But what I'm saying is that
Or
you don't have the threat of runtime too much on Broadway, especially since you have to account for errors of live performance. Whereas in a movie,
they had a lot with his dance moves.
yeah.
I love Sheds. He's like, don't pinch my cheek, you
Don't touch me.
jerk.
Honestly, just I love this whole exchange.
No, but I'm sick. No king, la 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 la. Another favorite moment.
Like I said, they keep it quick and snappy.
And here we go with the Nazi imagery.
Let us be perfectly honest with ourselves. This has aged like wine. Like, in terms of
They made a mistake not doing this in the 2019 version.
yeah, because the idea of easily manipulated masses being able to be let in by a self-important jackass who's really only out for himself and maybe even just profit, is like, yeah, it's so easy. It's like, it's so threateningly evil.
And here's the point where Jim Cummings takes over for the singing. Yeah.
And supposedly he took over in a few other areas earlier in the song, but I wouldn't be able to let you know when, because this is the one everyone.
This is the big belting moment.
This is the one everyone remembers that he does. Maybe because after people have been told, they're like, "Oh yeah, I hear the difference," and yeah, you do. But it's like Jim Cummings, like, is a good match for at least singing.
Ambition. Well, look at Shenzi and Bonsai being so. Like,
and also this imagery in the elephant graveyard with that spiring tower of rock. It's like, that's such an intimidating shot.
When I first saw the 2019 version, now remember, I had free tickets. I was working at the movie theater.
Right.
I was like, they had like this military build up, like, be prepared. I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. But then it just ended. I'm like, what? That could have been good if you had it gone on for another minute or two. They made it way too short.
Honestly.
Yeah. Like, it could have with this whole military buildup you had going there, but no, you didn't.
I love the friggin'. The thing is, I can see Jeremy Irons' face in all of, like, Scar's split movements. I'm like, it's like, I really think he was legitimately doing that in, like, the booth. He was probably, like, rolling his eyes, being like, sort of father-son thing. It's like, I can totally see him doing that.
You know, I think another reason I didn't connect with this movie as much as, like, say, maybe Beauty and the Beast and all that was probably because I didn't connect with Simba. I don't know why. I'm trying to explain it. I can't really.
I mean,
Simba's put it into words.
I mean, aside the fact that he's a boy, Simba's a little bit of a rascal, a little bit of a rebel, and honestly,
or, you know, I feel like he's kind of overshadowed in his own movie.
Not nearly as overshadowed as Aurora, but I definitely see what you mean.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, you know, I remember Scar. I remember these hyenas. I remember Timon and Pumbaa, but, like,
honestly,
I don't connect with it much.
I love how that's a great face from Shenzi. And the little
yeah. Like,
lizard.
I could argue that, like, you know, they're only doing this hunting thing just because they're in a tough situation, and also this is the whole plan.
And the alternative is that Scar is pushing them to do it. Like, they weren't hunting the cub. Like, we realized later they weren't hunting the cubs because they wanted to. They were doing so because Scar told them to.
Oh, okay. Now this whole scene is...
We're
getting to the point of childhood trauma of millions of people.
Something that only animation can do is do such an intense vertigo shot, is what it's called. You know, when you do that,
like, I don't know, a year.
Camera pull.
I don't know a year or two to make or something.
Because they had to spend all that time rendering the wildebeest.
I remember how they did it in the stage version. They had, like, this whole, I don't know what you call it, when you, like, crank something and things go round and round and round. And, you know, they'll have the wildebeest coming round and round on there. And, you know, little Simba running away from them. Do you know what I'm talking about here?
I don't think I do. But I do want to talk about the tech that they used for
when you have a crank and you crank the things round and round.
A zoetrope?
I don't know.
Sounds like a zoetrope. So, the technology they were using for this, I love the way the strings, like, act in surprise with Zazu. It's like, that's what animation can do so well. Because it might look weird in live action, but it's really well done in this animated environment.
I remember how it should have ended for this when Sarabi just showed up and Mufasa was like, "What are you doing here, Sarabi?" "Well, I'm the queen and this is my son, so yes, I'm gonna go look for my son."
Shit, got him. So they set up this whole simulation where they basically just used a bunch of rectangles, and they use these rectangles to determine, okay, well, in this simulation, the rectangles are allowed to run every which way, but they cannot collide with each other. Then those rectangles get translated into this 3D render of a wildebeest that already has a run cycle animation. And then they're able to just get those things to, like, randomize and dodge and weave through each other.
The wildebeest. Yes, you're right. Oh boy, I'm sorry. I'm totally cracking on this during an intense emotional moment. Oh, here we go.
You can imagine the reason the scene took so long was because of the rendering. Like, because
Yes, but
with the 2D characters, oh god.
And then you see in his eyes the betrayal.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even see him get trampled, but you know what happens.
Now that's how you show an image getting burned into someone's eyes. That's just beautiful and heartbreaking.
And here we're going something that was recycled from Bambi. Well, an idea from Bambi that Bambi will come across his mother's corpse.
Yeah.
But was deleted because Disney think, oh, that might be a little too much. But now in the 90s, where people are being bolder.
And that was not a 3D wildebeest, as you should probably be able to tell by now, because I'm training you guys to look at animation. You guys can tell what's not 2D and what is. Yes. It'll become more obvious as we go along, I'm sure.
Now, okay, now granted, the way they did it in Bambi, it worked for the 40s. But this, yeah. And you know what? I think, granted, this was after Land Before Time. They felt like they could be bolder because Don Bluth had done it.
Oh, no. See, that's worse. See, like, Don Bluth gave his poor little protagonist dying words from his mother. Simba doesn't even get that.
Yeah.
Go bold or go home, right? But it makes sense why you can't have dying words from Mufasa, because Mufasa would be able to tell him what happened, and then, well, the whole plot's given away.
Yeah, although how it should have ended showed how, like, Mufasa's ghost showed right up there, like, oh, it's my brother who killed me. Like, that's a good point, though. Like,
you know,
if his ghost could show up,
not.
could have said that Scar killed him.
It is not. It is not. No, like, I hate.
Why didn't he say so in later either? I mean, even Hamlet's father said that right away that it was his brother who did it.
I'll give that one to Hamlet. But we can also get something else across. But like, again,
God, here comes the gaslighting.
Yep. You know, I don't remember what it was that when Your Movie Sucks said about the live action version, the 2019 version, that didn't make sense. But the thing is that there were no coincidences here. When Scar doesn't even bring up Simba roaring as the cause of the wildebeest stampede, but he did say, why don't you work on that little roar of yours? So it's like he was banking on the idea that Simba would do something stupid, or something that would seem stupid in the context.
He really was prepared to use the hyenas as a scapegoat, wasn't he? Like,
entirely.
He could have killed Simba, but he probably would have guessed someone else would have seen it.
just great.
Luckily, you're small, buddy.
Yeah. This is a great bit.
Yeah, we need a little comedy after all that craziness.
And unlike Bambi, at least it gives us a little bit of time to mourn.
Yeah. Yeah, versus the...
Probably because we have that whole moment with the body, you know? Like, and so when we finally take a break.
But yeah, another one of my favorite lines. Yeah, this isn't a stupid move by them, because she does have a point. She didn't really think he was going to survive out there.
And honestly, if it weren't for Timon and Pumbaa, he probably wouldn't have.
Yeah. Exactly.
Damn.
Oh boy, boys. He is such a good actor. He doesn't even look like he's hamming it up.
The thing is, I think Scar might actually be an example of Jeremy Irons' acting ability. He's able to play it up, like, really ham it up, and he's also able to play the subtle manipulator in the same character, too. I just love it. Now that's a great transition. Oh no, God. No, don't cry, Rafiki. You're gonna make me cry.
Okay, so a scene that they cut out in this movie was that, well, once they're grown, that Scar would try to seduce grown-up Nala to be his new queen. And then when she refused, banished her, and that's why she left. They cut that out because it thought, we don't really want to show this whole sexual harassment thing, do we? Oh, just wait until Hunchback of Notre Dame. But they kept it for the Broadway version.
Yeah.
And at least it got some inspiration in 2019, but except with Sarabi. But here we go. And of course, everyone remembers these two. They pretty much steal the show from here on out.
Yeah.
There's a reason they got their own spin-off, which is kind of bizarre, but had some fun moments. I remember watching it as a kid, like when they were abducted by aliens. And one thing I really wanted them to do in 2019 was confirm that these two are more than just friends. And they never did. And I was so disappointed.
I mean, come
on, you did it with the Foo. Why couldn't
I mean, they even got, like...
Timon and Pumbaa?
I mean, they even got a completely different gay icon to voice Timon. It's like, so, what was the point? What was the point of not doing that?
It's like, I had a whole list of, like, okay, if you're gonna do this, these are 3 things I want you to do. And you didn't do this one.
Yeah, Huffington, I believe Timon and Pumbaa is on Disney Plus, the TV show. Yes.
Oh, yeah. I need to watch through that. There's just so many shows. Oh, God. Yeah, Nathan Lane and Ernie Savella really play off each other really well. I know they at least did the revival of A Funny Thing Happened Away in the Forum together. Something familiar, something peculiar, something everyone a comedy tonight.
God.
I loved watching this on at West End. Where, like, you got the puppets, and of course you got the people singing for them behind the puppets.
Yeah.
They're pretty much the only ones who didn't have British accents, but
I think it's one of those things, like, even, like, Tom Ska, who does, like, the Astiff movie, like, when he did a lot of the later jokes, he was like, some jokes only work when you have like an American voice. There's just something other than a British voice doing those jokes. So, might be the reason why. Love how this just flows in. Nice little zip on Timon back there.
Yeah, I think this is like the song most people think of when they hear The Lion King.
I think this one, right along with, like, Circle of Life, I think everyone remembers at least 2 or 3 songs from this movie. The first 2 are Be Prepared and Hakuna Matata, and then the third one is pretty much any other song that you think of, but I think most of the time it's Circle of Life.
Okay, so when I was very little, me, my next door neighbor, and my little brother were like 5 and 2 around that time, and like we'd sing the song, and like one of us would. I don't remember which one I did, but it would be like Timon, Pumbaa, and Simba. You know what I mean? And we just like do the dance and all that.
Now, I'm not entirely sure, like, how easily noticeable that was.
Okay, one of the few points I liked about the 2019 was when Seth Rogen did go, every time that I farted, ain't you gonna stop me?
Honestly, that's just kind of a weak...
It's like,
honestly,
no, but none of the kids really care about farted.
Honestly, it's not even like...
farted.
Anyway.
No, I thought it was funny.
I mean, it's a punchline to a completely different movie that I could be watching. Oh, wait, I am watching it. Like, during Pumbaa's whole bit about, like, when he was a young warthog, the background art, you may have noticed, was a lot more stylized. Kind of like I Just Can't Wait to Be King. Whereas, like, it didn't really look like the rest of the movie's background art style.
And Pumbaa is the first Disney character to show flatulence.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, how do you make bugs look delicious? I just want a bag of gummy worms and gummy bugs that look like these. You know?
What happened to my eyeglass cleaner? I thought I just had it here. No, like this moment is like the we mimic the head nodding and all the
this moment
we're gonna get old walking across this bridge.
This moment is iconic.
Yeah, you remember when DreamWorks parodied it in the recent Puss in Boots movie?
Yep. I think they even more directly parodied it.
Not Matthew. Hello, not Matthew Broderick.
Yeah. I don't even
who
think.
Does the singing voice.
You know what's even funnier about that? I think Matthew Broderick is doing his lines in Can You Feel the Love Tonight, and he is a Broadway performer. He was in the original Broadway cast for Mel Brooks, The Producers, when they adapted that for stage. And he also...
With Nathan Lane!
Yeah, with Nathan Lane! And he also was in, like, a TV movie version of The Music Man. So it's like, Matthew Broderick's a singer? Did he just... Was he not able to hit the right notes for you guys for this song? What's wrong?
Yeah, people don't know, but the other day, we watched a version of Cinderella where Matthew Broderick was the prince, so... It's a small world. Have you seen, like, people, like, re-edit this and they just put in some annoying song?
I think I have, yeah. A few.
Yeah, one of them was, it's Friday.
Oh, no, God.
And that's, alas, poor York, I knew him well. Here's
the growl and roar again. Yeah. The sound effect, give props to the Foley department there, or the sound effects editing.
I love how on the Broadway they show Scar kind of slipping more into madness, just same way that Claudius does in Hamlet. Yeah. The way he says that. Zazu. He really doesn't care about him. Yeah,
and keep in mind,
they're starting to see like, maybe we shouldn't follow this guy.
Well, there's a coloring error that's just.
Oh man. I really want to watch The Lion King 1.5 now.
Right. Notice the coloring error is kind of persisting here for some reason. You can see there's a little yellow on Pumbaa's eyes, but Simba's eyes are supposed to be yellow too there, but they're being painted off white, like they'd be white in any other light.
Fireflies. Well, yeah, wait a couple years. My belle Evangeline. They're definitely fireflies.
Yeah, no, look.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, it looks like he's got whites instead of yellows.
Yeah, because of the lighting of the scene, it looks like his sclera is white, but they're supposed to be yellow. Even Pumbaa's sclera is yellow here. It's like, I don't get why they just didn't reuse that on Simba. That was always a weird way to phrase.
When you put it that way.
When you phrase it like that, it sounds pretty dumb.
Okay, you can't blame Timon and Pumbaa. They didn't know.
Yeah.
Because Simba's never shared.
Yeah. Even Simba's like, I mean, it's not that dumb, guys. No, I mean, you didn't
okay,
know.
so at this point, there was a really infamous subliminal message here that
so
if you
they put in.
those,
So they put
leaves there. Okay,
so
let me say it. Okay, so people thought that those like leaves and stuff they spelled out SEX, but it really spelled out SFX. But because everyone made a big deal out of it, they
eventually scrubbed
I think in
it.
this version, they
eventually just scrubbed it from existence.
Yes, I've heard people telling me that like no, it's SFX, like sound effects.
It is. That's what it was. It's always what it was.
Of course, people made a big deal.
Send up to the sound effects department, but everyone's mind was in the gutter and thought the F was an E because of some stray fluff in the breeze. That's it.
Well, you know, consider what happened with Little Mermaid.
Off he goes. The elation. You can just hear the pure joy.
And of course, they had to put this song in.
I'm not gonna lie, this moment just seems I mean, aside from the fact they're singing about a lion sleeping in the jungle, it's like it really just has no connection to anything.
You know, whenever I heard the real song as a kid, I would always imagine Pumbaa going "Awingawa, Awingawa."
Again, even this dung beetle over here is like looks incredibly. It looks incredibly appetizing. And to say a dung beetle is appetizing, like, you can taste the shit on its feet. It really brings out the rest of the flavor.
Yeah, the voice actor for Rafiki, Another thing I knew him from was he did the narration for the Happily Ever After Stories for Every Child series.
Look at that. I think they just painted the background to look blurry, and that was... Now that was great, right there. The way they... They're just... That's probably one of the better
don't worry.
jokes.
Don't worry, Timon. Nobody in these movies actually have any openings. And here we go. Ninja.
The thing is, I don't know if, like, Dim from A Bug's Life was a dung beetle or if he was just a horn beetle.
I think it was a rhino beetle.
Yeah, rhino, that's right.
A rhinoceros beetle, if you want the full name.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the reason, like, I feel like Nala is kind of underplayed in this movie and in the franchise in general. Timon's reaction.
That's good. It's a good response.
Timon's pretty much the whole audience right now.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Yeah, I love this line. Oh yeah, you have a mother. That's right.
Oh. Okay, so now here's a reason why to like keep it on the back burner. It's like, okay, sure. Like, Nala probably deserved more. Sarabi has to be Simba's mother and fill a specific role, so she doesn't get a lot of screen time, unfortunately. But, like, Nala bringing just, like, this is the thing that in writing just works like poetry. She says exactly what Scar said, like, and your mother, what would she think? Now that had to have hurt when she said those exact words. And that's
He's really been holding this in because he's never told Timon and Pumbaa any of this. Yeah.
What do you think he's gonna start flying and breathing ice breath? What do you think a king entails, Timon?
We can't make them feel the love tonight.
That might be the only bit of the Lion King 1.5 that doesn't quite line up.
Okay, but you could say that maybe in this whole storytelling they do a little embellishing.
I mean, I could imagine Timon being a completely unreliable narrator, so yeah.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a... It is still funny, but it's the only part of the movie where it's like, oh, yep, no, there's one thing that doesn't quite line up. It's like...
Yeah, I've seen people like do a side by side of like those scenes with the Lion King and Lion in the 1.5.
Because it does line up quite a bit most of the time.
This song has been like rewritten so many times. Like Elton John was disappointed when he heard that his big love song was going to be like this big comedy duet between Timon and Pumbaa. And it kind of ended up only half that way, but...
And the thing is, it works in the narrative of the film because musical numbers...
But it was going to be all... It was going to be all Timon and Pumbaa at one point.
Well, I can definitely see a good reason to change that.
Yeah.
Honestly...
Yeah, Elton John was really pushing for, like, you know, this whole romantic atmosphere here.
And honestly, I think it works better. It's like, we have Timon and Pumbaa literally introduce us in our traditional musical theater way. Like, Timon is singing and Pumbaa is responding with his words. And then we bring into the song. That's... Okay, maybe that's not Matthew Broderick.
Why do I always love it when I see kitty cats lapping water? It looks so cute.
It's their
Even for
little, it's their
lions.
little tongues. Apparently Rick Astley was a background singer for this song. Damn it, Disney rickrolled us!
Yeah, because usually cats don't like water.
I love that
that's
look.
a legitimate reaction. Lions aren't used to swimming.
Tigers, on the other hand, like in reference to the roar
Yeah.
sound effects and where they're coming from.
Oh boy, this scene just gets memed so many times, and not in a good way.
That's because, much like Lady and the Tramp, it is canon that these animals flocked.
The doomy eyes, as people call it.
So here it is, like, Timon and Pumbaa are just back where they were. They're not watching them. But in Lion King 1.5, it would be essentially them, like, gawking at these two, just, you know, getting it on.
How do you know they didn't just make it to another set of leaves and trees? Actually, it does kind of look different, doesn't it?
Because the sun went down.
I mean, the foliage is different. Yeah, because look, now there's water in front of them.
Maybe it was...
They could have easily moved.
Maybe it was a holdover from when they would be narrating the entire song and they had to follow them through their romantic sequence.
Mm.
Just a theory. A film! Anyway.
Oh, speaking of kitty cat, hello, sweetie.
Hi, Gracie.
Meow. Oh, little fuzzy paws. Come here. I'm not giving you another helping.
look at the
You
way
already
she's-
had your 8 o'clock helping.
The way she just perched up there on that hammock vine is just great.
I loved how they on the stage version. She's like, "What?" Everyone laughed. Yeah,
Ooh, wait.
yeah. They
Did
cut
they?
out-
Oh,
yeah.
whoa, whoa. It sounds like they snipped up dialogue there. Like they did a little.
Well, because
Like they did a little chopping up of dialogue where she originally said "I was banished" and then they replaced it with "went to find help."
yeah, because like yeah, like I said, that originally Scar banished her because she rejected him.
Man.
Yeah, your first fight.
Yeah. And his eyes are white again. God, this is making me mad.
Maybe it's just the darkness. I don't know.
No, because if it would be more like a cat thing, then why couldn't they just have his eyes be legit glowing in the dark? Cats' eyes glow in the dark all the time. I mean,
Yeah, but see, like all the lines I remember of this movie are mostly from the side characters.
yeah.
You know, he's actually saying squash banana at some point.
Yeah, it's just legit just saying squash banana.
Yeah, it really is like you are a baboon, I'm not squash banana, something like that. Rafiki.
God, I love this monkey.
Where's another character? This is the with. Oh, like, what are you supposed to say when Hakuna Matata? I can't speak this African stuff. The outtakes they released like several years later. They animated the voice actors outtakes. For some reason, Matthew Broderick couldn't say Hakuna Matata. Oh, hello. And who are you, my little cutie fluffy? Yeah. Asante-san. Or like, you are a baboon, squash banana, and I'm
I,
not.
I love everything going on here. Cheeky little. I love that cheeky little bye, and then he just dips
Who
off.
does... I'm trying to think of who exactly he reminds me of. And I'm suddenly in like this Buddhist meditation position.
This is definitely a very James Baxter animation on Rafiki, like,
That's like,
definitely.
waiter, there's a fly in my friend's soup. I want one too. What do you have in your soup, Simba? Rafiki. Aw, fuzzy face. Sorry. I have a real cat here who's distracting me.
Even this simple sequence of
The
just
shot that always stood out to me.
running through this thick foliage is such a
just big hand in your
cinematic shot. I mean, as far as like Disney to parallel, I think like the closest parallel I could think like Simba traveling through this dark, thick gaggle of tree roots and
Yoda.
limbs.
Rafiki's like you.
I was gonna say it was like
Yoda.
when Luke went into that cave on Dagobah and just like saw the visions of Vader.
He lives in me.
So
Yeah, that song "He Lives in You" actually was written for Broadway, and then they used it in the Lion King 2 sequel.
nice.
But it was sung by Rafiki on stage.
Uh,
Here's our Hamlet ghost moment. I am your father.
yeah. Yep. And his eye turned white for a couple of frames.
Who you are.
But you can see his eyes watering up.
I loved how they did this on stage.
So I could be all pedantic just as much as any other how it should have ended CinemaSins nonsensical ninny and be like, well, here's the counter to your excuse for, well, he could have just told him, no, he lives in you. So this Mufasa only remembers what Simba remembers. I could counteract any of your debates with any other answers. But the thing is, it's the emotional resonance of the story that really matters
gonna get
most.
To another one of my favorite parts. Watch Rafiki.
And just just so quick to it.
Yep.
It's beautiful. It's so beautiful here.
See? That is clever. And then okay, that's probably Simba's only funny line I can think of. First, I'm gonna take your stick. Yeah, it's like, yep. First, I'm gonna take your stick, and then I'm gonna go back.
And the only other instance we know of Mufasa speaking to anyone directly is like we hear Rafiki's end of a conversation in The Lion King 2. And then it's like, that's about it.
But we also see, well done, son. We are one. Oh.
Well, oh god.
Jump scare. Oi. Yeah, that line could still fit in with Lion King 1.5 because he still doesn't know the monkey's name. Like, so who's the monkey who keeps showing up all over the place, right?
That is true. That is very, very true. Here's probably some of the best. Here's probably a really great. This is a really great moment of animation, but it's also a really great moment of friggin' Hans Zimmer's incredible score for this film. Just
And now all I can think about is Pumbaa, and
that
then
was
Timon just rushing past him, and Timon's like,
that.
"You call that running?"
What was it? The running? If
I
you
love
call
when
that
Disney
running.
makes fun of itself. No. I know it was like a whole cinematic thing, but they just had Pumbaa running very slow, and then Timon just rushes past him.
I think the important thing about a joke like that is that it doesn't say the Lion King was wrong for doing a slow motion shot. It's just decided to, rib itself a little bit. It's like, yeah, it's like a slow motion shot. Was he just running that slow? It's like just
what?
imagine if that was the case.
It's like, what are you doing? Slow motion builds up the tension, and I'll start again. Hey, well, you guys ran pretty fast, all things considered.
Think about how far young
catch
Simba.
up?
Think of how far young Simba would have run, before he passed out in the desert.
I know, but considering he left last night and they didn't leave to go after him until morning, they caught up pretty fast.
Let's be honest with ourselves intellectually now, and like, it was not necessarily. It's a sliding time scales. Like, we don't know how close together certain scenes happen. You know what I mean? And it could be that where Timon and Pumbaa were was closer, so they had less time. They had less distance to cover.
Now they're supportive parents.
Yeah, they are.
Like, well, it's important to you. We'll help you out.
The storm rolls in. I'm sure that won't have any consequences whatsoever.
And we're gonna get to one of the improvised moments that Disney decided to roll with.
Yep.
Was this before or after Nathan Lane came out?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because if it was before, I don't think it surprised anybody.
Fun little thing for any animation nitpickers, he wasn't wearing the lei. Just before he turned around, there's like a single frame where he has no flowers around his neck. when his back is turned to us.
Because we're supposed to be surprised.
I suppose so, yeah. Hey, look, you did something.
Yeah, dress and drag and do the hula was improvised, so Disney's like, okay, let's keep that. We'll actually have a do a hula bit. Yeah, because in Hamlet, Claudius married his brother's widow, and it is ambiguous of whether or not she actually cared about Claudius, but yeah. But here, clearly,
racial profiling is absolutely not one-to-one. But I can hear that they did not hire a white woman to voice Sarabi, which, again, I think that's kind of important, especially when we're coming off the heels of Aladdin and we're setting a story in Africa. We should probably have at least some chunk of the cast should actually be African American. In some stretch.
Even if it's picky with these because they're all animals.
No, I guess not. But like,
I mean, we got a whole blend. We got from Nathan Lane to Whoopi Goldberg to Cheech Marin.
Yeah, too true. So look, now Scar's eyes are glowing in the shadow, so absolutely no excuse for Simba's eyes to be miscolored in the starry nights.
Simba, do not watch these scenes without seeing the outtakes anymore.
I know, right? Thing is, like, I think they made those up for the 3D Blu-ray edition. Like, those weren't original bloopers. I think they made up, like,
Some
fake...
of them were, like Nathan, Nathan Lane going, luau. Do you want any of this?
I must
I
not
think they
have...
were actually recorded.
Okay, I must not have seen the whole thing, because... I saw some of them, like, on YouTube, but are there more of them?
They were definitely animated later, but...
Yeah, no, but...
It's time to grow up, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah, the Broadway production technically has an all-color cast, with the exception of Scar, who is always played by a Caucasian... Blueheart, white actor.
Well, yeah, James Baxter's the guy you get for the camera spins. I mean, did you see that shit he did on Steven Universe?
Yeah, Blueheart, I don't think you want to be using the phrase Caucasian around there. Just don't. If you want to know why, look it up. Now, Scar, you probably could have won if you hadn't decided to be cocky
Yeah.
in this moment. Just saying. See, like, you could have very well, you had to be cocky. And I love how they do the reverse from the zoom out to the zoom in, because that's when.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, see, if you hadn't been cocky there, he probably would have fought back like that.
Yeah, and here's a moment.
No Linuses to the end.
I gotta wonder for a minute, though. One criticism that does get lobbed at this movie that I do think does come to light more and more I get to this point in the film. Why the fuck did nobody back Simba even when the lie had come to light, right?
Probably because they were shocked and confused. I mean, because even like the mom's like, it's not true, right? It's like,
No, beyond that, Scar would have just absolutely won. You're right. Like, if Scar hadn't been a cocky little jackass, he would have won. So the moral of the story is that even if you return to face your past, no one will have your back, even if it was an accident. Like,
oh, this line.
boy. Off it goes.
You gotta admire Pumbaa just charging at the hyenas.
Yeah.
And Shenzi, Marie, Predatoria, Jekyll, and Hyena. We do me the honor of becoming my bride. I think so. Have you ever seen that Jack Black movie, Be Kind, Rewind?
I've heard of it. I know what you're referring to. I've seen like a little clip of it where they're doing like,
okay, who put in the Lion King? You're like, wait, how do we do an animated movie? And then it just.
Well,
like,
I mean,
put
Bella,
on, like,
we set that up earlier.
costumes.
As far as brains go, I've got the lion's share, but when it comes to brute strength, I'm at the shallow end of the dream pool. It's like he's clearly
Yes.
not a fighter.
I mean, look at that guy. He's a sickly lion.
Yep.
I I've seen a lot of people try to guess Scar's backstory that, because he was a sickly lion, he was kind of overlooked, and that would explain a lot of resentment.
A cheater to the end. Give him some credit. Like, he goes out swinging. He may not be a fighter, but he's certainly trying his damnedest.
This is epic, I will admit.
You probably did hear the MGM roar because, yeah, that's the stock. Those are like stock sound effects. Like, Metro Goldwyn Mayer doesn't own those sounds. Like, they're like in a film library. Now, if that ain't fucked up. For all the movies that do this Jesus imagery with hero characters doing like this T-pose thing, like they're being hung on a cross, Scar just leaping out like that is so horrifying, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is the point that Whoopi Goldberg was so glad about a role, because she she and the rest get to defeat the villain. These are, I think to this date, the only villainous sidekicks who get to kill them.
It may not have been Gaston and wolves, but it was Scar with hyenas at the base of Pride Rock.
We never see the hyenas again. Which makes me wonder, were the hyenas swept away by the fire, or did they escape? I'm never really clear on that.
I mean, the sequel makes to light that the hyenas were like, they probably just scattered.
Man, if you want to consider the Lion Guard canon, I don't, but then maybe they just, like, scattered and they had their kids.
I mean, they kid him. They got Scar. They ate him up, and then they just took him away. Roasted lion. Fresh roasted lion.
Yeah, Ryder. I don't consider the Lion Guard canon. The only part I liked about that first episode was Mufasa going, "I am your grandfather." Because it was funny, because it was Darth Vader.
It is time.
No, Ryder, it is not canon. No.
Man, who is animating these rain effects? Because they look great. And the skull getting washed off.
Away.
The death that has haunted this land from Scar's reign. And the opening of the clouds looking like the silhouette of Mufasa for a moment there. The silhouette of his mane. Really great.
Now this is a great piece of music.
I think that roar sound effect has been replaced a few times in different editions of the movie. So I don't know if that's the original one or not.
No, Ryder, it is not canon. I refuse.
Oh boy, someone else is getting under your skin there. Yes, Frank Welker in a trash can was responsible.
Like in Bambi.
Yep.
Just like in Bambi.
As it opens, so it ends with the birth of a new. And also, clearly...
And you think it's just like a heroic, but nope, there we go. Now, fun fact. In some of the, books that came, like the Disney Golden books...
Yeah.
Or so they say that it's his son that Rafiki holds up, but of course that was before we had the Lion King 2, where it's indeed a girl.
Yeah.
Don Hahn, I got his autograph on my copy of the Lion King.
And Rob Minkoff is one of the directors. Songs by Tim Rice and Elton John.
Oh, yeah, Tim Rice and Elton John.
Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer. Who DreamWorks would then steal.
Performed by Elton John from. I think they must mean the version over the credits, right?
Yeah, of course.
Chris Sanders. We'll get to Lilo and Stitch eventually, Chris. Don't you worry.
Hey.
Hey, get
Yeah,
back,
so
get back to the
this-
credits. I want to read the character animators.
This is the Can You Feel the Love Tonight. I have my
Mark
my Elton
Ken
John
was
CD.
the lead animator for
Oh.
young Simba, Rumina Kino for adult Simba.
Picture for me, but well, I can hear it, but I can't see it.
Andreas Deja is the lead for.
There we go. Animators Tim Allen. Yeah, I think we saw that Tim Allen before. Definitely not the same Tim Allen, right?
Yeah. So I guess it's probably worth mentioning now because I didn't see Eric Goldberg's name in here. And the reason is because Eric Goldberg was probably on Disney's A team. At this point in Disney, they were splitting their animators between teams to finish movies, and animators were leaving this movie so they could go work on Pocahontas. Because it was thought that Pocahontas was their big, grand Oscar bait. It's like, Beauty and the Beast got nominated, this movie is going to win. We'll get
That's why
to
Pocahontas had Alan Menken on that because he'd won the Oscars twice beforehand. No, sorry, Aladdin 3 times beforehand for Disney.
So we'll get to that next week, but as for this week, this movie did gangbusters. Like, when Frozen's advertisement was coming out and comparing itself to Lion King, and Frozen's success speaks for itself, they weren't kidding. This movie was the big summer animated blockbuster spectacle. It's just brilliant. Rowan Atkinson, Matthew Broderick, Nikita Kallem, Jim Cummings, Whoopi Goldberg, Robert Gillum, Jeremy Irons, James Earl Jones, Myra Carey, Nathan Lane, Zoe Leader, Jonathan Taylor Thomas as a young Simba. Trying to read all the names I can. Paint markup.
I find it very funny that Jeffrey Katzenberg thought this would fail, and yet when he goes on to start DreamWorks, he goes on and steals Hans Zimmer for a whole bunch of his movies.
Here's the kick in the shins, right? Hans Zimmer is a great composer. Like, you get Hans Zimmer to compose for your film, it will sound epic. I mean, I feel like you always get specific, like, people to do specific, and Rowan Atkinson doing the parts of the Just Can't Wait to Be King. Yeah. Honestly, I liked his bit. But yeah, no, like, Circle of Life chorus. That's a lot of fucking people.
Yeah. This went up against the song Swan Princess. No, the Swan Princess went up against this.
In fact, the Swan Princess not only went up against this, but the Swan Princess went up against a re-release of this. Like, it had its standard, 4-month run in theaters, and then it re-released toward the end of the year when Swan Princess came out, and boom! There you go. So, not great for Swan Princess.
Yeah! Poor Swan Princess was a big box office bomb.
And honestly, I have to imagine...
that? I forget.
Swan Princess? Yeah, it's cute. I like it a lot. It's a lot of fun.
It was more successful in the video release department. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Like, it definitely made it. It probably made its money back. Like, at least broke even on video sales and shit. Which is why we have all those sequels.
Yeah, Pocahontas came out the same year as a certain movie about toys. Yes, the same year I was born. In fact, we're about to go. Good old 1995. Prince of Frank Wells, president of the Walt Disney Company from 1984 to 1994.
Oh, man.
Yes. He was one of the 9 old men, right?
Yeah, and God rest his soul. And the reason that Jeffrey Katzenberg left Disney because Michael Eisner got Frank Wells' job when Jeffrey Katzenberg really wanted it. So Jeffrey Petty.
Oh boy,
and
we know how he felt about Michael Eisner. Look at Shrek, look at Lord Farquaad.
Yeah, Jeffrey Petty asshole Katzenberg left to develop DreamWorks with Spielberg and David Geffen. looking at all the end credits. Anyway,
Danish version.
But anyway, like, yeah, let's let these play out, So while we talk about the movie,
Jim Cummings was still. Oh, I guess it was all grunts.
It was all grunting and giggling. It wouldn't really change much. So yeah, as far as like this film, as far as this is concerned, as far as like this movie is concerned, it really did. It was
speaking and singing.
Here-
Sorry, I'm just reading these.
Here's what's even funnier, right? So at this time, Disney was really synergizing with their theme parks, right? So like pretty much every movie that had a major release, they had like, huh, there's some new thing at the theme parks that just happens to be here at the same weekend that the movie is premiering. It's like, well, that's because after The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast saw great success and they were developing Aladdin, it's like, well, shit, now that we've done some major successes right now, before this movie comes out, we gotta develop like, a parade for Disney World's new movie theme park because there's barely any rides and attractions for them to do there, so let's develop an Aladdin parade for them. And one of the floats for the Aladdin parade is actually, the spinning camel that's next to the magic carpets in Adventureland of the Magic Kingdom. But that's the thing. So it's like, and then the Lion King, it gets like a whole bunch of shit. It like had a puppet show at the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World of all things. And then Pocahontas got a segment in Fantasmic in Walt Disney World's version. So it's like, so they really expected that movie to be as big a success, if not a bigger success, than The Lion King. Like, they expected The Lion King to make money, clearly. Why advertise it in the theme parks? But like, honestly, just yeah, Katzenberg is still alive. He's still around. He's still running DreamWorks. At least he's not running it into the ground.
Hey. It depends on which movie they're on, honestly.
But anyway, but like as far as Disney goes, like that's the thing that they were doing in the 90s. I even saw when I was a little kid, we have photos in like one of our albums like tucked away somewhere in like on a bookshelf or something. Photos of a Hercules parade that went through Disneyland. It's like they were really synergizing their like releases of films with like, here's a new thing at the theme parks you can see, just to
I showed you that
new
float
to
of Oliver and Company, right? Like it actually existed, an Oliver and Company float at one point.
And there you go. That's the thing. That's like they were really going. Yeah, no, because like that's the thing. It's like Disney like saw success, they saw money in their eyes, so they're like, let's put the new thing in the theme park as well. Because when we advertise that and we advertise this at the same time, it's like, oh, here's the movie. It's like, which is the funny thing is like Disney's first movie tie-in for a theme park was Sleeping Beauty's castle at Disneyland, and Sleeping Beauty didn't do all that well on initial release.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you need the money to make the art.
You do. You really do.
And then more money. We earn more money to make more movies.
Yeah. I think there is still some logic at this point in time of Disney, that in the whole totality of their stories and their movies and shit.
Ooh, they have the Romanian version on here. Cool.
Nice. But yeah, at least in the grand scheme of the Disney wheelhouse, in this time period when Lion King is at the height of its success, and sure, they're trying to go for Oscar grabs like they're trying to go for Oscar grabs like Pocahontas next week. They're still doing it for the art. You wouldn't make a movie as audacious as The Hunchback of Notre Dame if you weren't doing it for the art. That's the thing. I'm like,
oh boy, next week is going to be very interesting, though.
But yeah, we're gonna have some words about that.
Yeah. Oh boy.
It'll be interesting to say the least. There'll be
Yeah. I don't remember when is the last time I actually watched Pocahontas in full.
Yeah, I think for me it had to have been. I've
been steering away from it since I understood.
I think for me it had to have been over 10 years ago. I have made very excellent success at not watching the entire movie at all.
I mean, I've seen like other people reacting to it. Just
let's see clips from it. Let's see the songs. My family's watching it, and it's like, oh, neat, they're watching that anyway. But we'll get to that movie next week. Thank you all so much for joining us here. And if you're viewing this after the fact, thanks for watching. Remember to take care, stay safe, and be kind in all that you do. Good night, everybody.
Bye bye.